The air in the bedroom was thick, tasting like copper and old dust. Outside, the moon was being swallowed by a shadow that didn't belong to the earth. It was a bruised, sickly purple, casting long, distorted fingers across the hardwood floor. Just stay on top of the covers. Leo, I whispered to myself, the words catching in a throat that felt like it was lined with sandpaper. Whatever you do, don't look under the bed. My grandma had told me the rules since I was old enough to crawl. She wasn't some eccentric lady with too many cats. She was a woman who slept with a circle of salt around her bed frame and died with her eyes bolted toward the ceiling. She called it the Blood Moon's basement. She said that when the light dies, the boundary between here and down there becomes as thin as wet tissue paper. I clutched my phone. The screen brightness dimmed so low it was barely a ghost of a light. 11:42 p.m. The peak of the eclipse was only minutes away. Thump. It wasn't a loud noise. It was the sound of something heavy and wet shifting its weight. It came from directly beneath my shoulder blades. My heart did a frantic tap dance against my ribs. I froze, holding my breath until my lungs burned. Scritch. 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 Long, jagged nails or maybe teeth were dragging against the underside of the bed frame. It sounded like a serrated knife hitting a wooden cutting board. Focus on the wall, Leo. Focus on the peeling wallpaper. Do not look down. Is someone there? A voice asked. I nearly jumped out of my skin, but I realized the voice hadn't come from the room. It had come from under me, and the terrifying part. The voice was mine. It was my exact pitch, my slightly shaky cadence, my Midwestern drawl. Leo, are you up there? The voice from the floorboards whispered. It sounded confused. It sounded scared. It's dark down here. I can't see my hands. My skin crawled so hard I felt like I was going to turn inside out. This was a classic hell no moment. My brain was screaming at me to bolt for the door, but my legs felt like they'd been set in concrete. If I moved, my foot might hang over the edge. If my foot hung over the edge, something would grab it. We all know the rules of the dark. I know you're there, the other Leo said. The voice was closer now, muffled only by the thin mattress. I can hear your heart. It sounds like a trapped bird. Let me up. It's starting to crawl on me. I squeezed my eyes shut. It's an auditory hallucination. It's the low-frequency vibrations of the eclipse. It's literally anything else. Then, the bed tilted. Just a fraction of an inch. Something down there had reached up and gripped the side of the box spring. I felt the mattress depress as if a very large, very cold hand was pressing down right next to my hip. Leah, please, the voice sobbed. It sounded so real, so heartbroken. There are eyes in the corners. They're red, Leo. They're like glowing coals. They're coming closer. Just look down and give me your hand. Pull me up. I bit my lip so hard I tasted blood. The moon outside was almost completely gone now, a sliver of dark red remaining like a closing eyelid. The room was bathed in a color that shouldn't exist, a deep necrotic crimson. The scratching stopped. For a second, there was total silence, the kind of silence that rings in your ears. Then came the smell. It wasn't just dust anymore. It was the stench of an open grave. It was rotting meat and stagnant water. It wafted up from the gap between the bed and the wall, thick and oily. Fine, the voice said, but it wasn't my voice anymore. It had dropped an octave, turning into a wet, guttural growl that sounded like someone trying to speak through a throat full of pebbles. Don't look, I'll just come to you. The floorboards creaked. Something was dragging itself out. Not from the sides, that would be too simple. It was coming through the wood. I felt the bed frame begin to vibrate, a low hum that vibrated in my teeth. I looked at the window. The eclipse was total. The blood moon was in full effect. A pale, multi-jointed finger hooked over the edge of my mattress. It was gray, the color of a drowned corpse, and it was at least 8 inches long. Then another finger. Then a third. They didn't have nails. They had shards of black glass embedded in the tips. The fingers gripped the sheets, pulling them down. I scrambled back against the headboard, kicking my legs wildly. "Get away!" I screamed, finally breaking my silence. The thing responded with a laugh. It was a dry, rattling sound, like dead leaves blowing across a sidewalk. A head began to rise over the edge of the bed. It didn't have a face. Not really. It was a smooth, featureless mask of pale skin, stretched tight over a skull that had too many bumps in the wrong places. Where the eyes should have been, there were only shallow indentations. But then, as the red moonlight hit it, the skin split. 2 horizontal slits opened, revealing eyes that were nothing but voids of pure, sucking blackness. "You looked," it hissed. I didn't look under the bed. I yelled, tears streaming down my face. "I'm looking at the top. Below is above tonight, Leo," the thing whispered, its mouth opening to reveal rows of needle-thin teeth that moved independently, like the legs of a centipede. "The eclipse is a mirror, and you're on the wrong side of the glass." The creature lunged. It didn't move like a person. It moved like a spider, its limbs snapping and popping as it scrambled across the duvet. Its skin was ice cold, where it touched my bare ankles. I kicked my heel, connecting with something that felt like wet leather, but it didn't slow down. I rolled off the other side of the bed, the ultimate mistake. I hit the floor hard, my knees barking in pain. I scrambled to find my footing, but the room was spinning. The red light was blinding now, pulsing like a dying star. I made the mistake, the one Grandma warned me about. In my scramble to get up, I tripped. I fell onto my stomach, and my head landed inches away from the dark void beneath the bed frame. I froze. In the pitch blackness under there, I didn't see a monster. I didn't see a demon. I saw a room. It was my room, but inverted. The ceiling was the floor, and the floor was the ceiling. And there, lying on the ceiling, which was actually the underside of my floorboards, was me. The real me. He was tied down with cords of black shadow, his mouth sewn shut with silver wire. His eyes were wide, pleading, staring directly into mine. He was vibrating with a silent scream. And standing over him was me, or the thing that looked like me. It was wearing my favorite hoodie, holding a pair of rusted shears. It looked up at the floor and smiled. It was the same creature that had just been on top of the bed, but now it looked perfectly human, perfectly normal. "Thanks for the invite," the fake Leo said, his voice now indistinguishable from mine. I felt a hand grab the back of my neck from my side of the room. The spider thing, the one with the needle teeth, was looming over me. "You had turned to go into the basement," it growled. It shoved my head down. The floor didn't feel like wood anymore. It felt like water. I felt myself sinking into the hardwood, the cold pressure of the shadow realm beginning to swallow my ears, my nose, my eyes. I reached out, grasping for anything the bed leg, the rug, the doorframe, but my hands just passed through them like smoke. The last thing I saw before I was pulled completely under was the fake Leo stepping out from under the bed in the real room. He straightened his hoodie, picked up my phone, and checked the time. 11:59, he said, checking his reflection in the window, just in time for the world to come back. The red light faded. The moon emerged from the shadow, bright and indifferent. I hammered on the underside of the floorboards, screaming until my throat bled, but no sound came out. Above me, I heard footsteps. Solid, heavy footsteps. He walked over to the bed, lay down, and sighed a breath of pure relief. "Good night, Leo," he whispered into the wood. "I'm still here. It's been 3 lunar cycles. I'm cold. I'm so cold." The red eyes are coming back to the corners of this inverted room, and I can hear them sharpening their shards. Please, if you're hearing this, if you're lying in your bed right now, if there's even a hint of a shadow crossing the moon, stay on the covers. Don't acknowledge the noises, and for the love of everything holy, don't look down, because sometimes the monster isn't under the bed. Sometimes the monster is the one currently lying on top of it, pretending to be you.